I could not afford to take the bait and be like, what the hell? He would have just went upstairs to fire me. So I pretended like he was my best friend and I spoke to him. And yes, this takes from the inside out acting. But if you're an adult, you can do it. I am sure you've had to pretend in far worse situations. I'm Silver, a born clairvoyant near-death experiencer, and I'm here to remind you that you are your best guru. Do you run hot or cold? Are you somebody who comes in and ready, fires, aims? Is that how it goes? Or are you somebody who needs to be prodded to get a word out? So here's the trick. To navigate in the real world, we've really got to get that pendulum into the middle. Because whether it's social or it's at work, or unfortunately, even within your family, you want to be able to bring your most well-spoken, stable self to the table when talking, because that's what gets respect, which naturally affords you an entrance into the conversation. Here's a real-life example. I was a fundraising writer, and they hired a new guy to head up the communications team. He made it super clear from the beginning that he wanted to come in and redecorate the people with his people from his last place of work. So he went on a quest to fire everybody in the department. Like corporate gaslighting? Jesus. My big project each year was the annual report. It's the biggest pain in my ass I could ever explain to you. It requires mathing everywhere. And that's not me. I would have to get secret help from my friends because it was not going to be generated by what I remembered in school. So I'd have to get info from every single department, and that's herding rabid, feral cats. And then I remember he wanted to talk to me. I'd handed in what I thought was my final draft before he was going to give me his notes. And he was like, this is word for word. You didn't hear a word I said regarding the annual report, which, by the way, I've been feeding him the pieces of it as it came together. Of course, I'm not going to wait till the end and have him say something like that. He's like, you need to do this from scratch. The deadline, still the same, but I had to do it from scratch. I was just steamrolled in that moment. But then I pulled this game out of my pocket and it works. So I don't even know where I got this from. But I knew. I was like, he's going to turn this into something fireable if you don't get your shit together and speak and say something. I had notes going through the whole process. So first, that was really important. I was working with information that I was certain about. And if you're not, and you find yourself in a discussion like this, to take a pause, to be like, actually, I want to have a chance, if you don't mind, to go through my notes, to just check. And then if we could come together again and talk, I'd rather be a little more prepared to be able to answer your questions. That's hard, because in the moment, no matter which way your pendulum swings, but it's really important because this game I'm about to play, it only works if you're certain about the facts. In this case, I was. And I also knew if you cannot speak right now to defend yourself, not aggressively, but adult to adult, you're going to lose your job. So what I did in the moment was, and she was saying this to me, if this was my best friend, I would automatically give her the benefit of the doubt. So it'd be hard to hear, but I definitely wouldn't lash out. I wouldn't do that to my best friend. I would try to come from the tangent of, wow, this just sounds so different from what we did talk about. And I'm surprised, and I do want to understand where you're coming from because, of course, I want to do a good job. That's what I would say to my best friend. That is not what I would have said to my a-hole boss. Do you see where by dropping the extremes, you're already still in the game where you really need to show up in a conversation? So first, if you're stuck and cornered in a conversation where you don't have any proven ground to stand on, you've got to get it together in the moment to make it a request. Because you just want to be super informed before you come together again. You're completely open to it, but you want to be organized in your thoughts before we do talk about this. Because that's ambush. such an ambush. So you're evening the playing field for yourself because you deserve a freaking even playing field, right? Unless you already know the truth, which I did. I had his notes about his vision for this, but instead of saying, hold up, you said blamey finger talk, drop it. This is not for every conversation. It's for a certain kind of conversation where jumping to conclusions and or hiding in either extreme would not serve you. And in this case, I could not afford to take the bait and be like, what the hell? He would have just went upstairs to fire me. So I pretended like he was my best friend and I spoke to him. And yes, this takes internal, from the inside out acting. But if you're an adult, you can do it. I am sure you've had to pretend in far worse situations. I got it together and I started asking questions. And I would do this in an open-handed manner without my face being like, you suck. Neutral face, neutral body language, neutral tone. I'm not saying this gave me a fairy tale ending whatsoever. It didn't. What it did give me was a continued paycheck and document everything that happened. And I had intentionally started saving all his emails when I saw what he was doing. I preemptively gave my stuff to HR, not with any conclusion, just with preemptive concern over a pattern I've noticed. You have got to learn how to snap yourself into neutrality and open-ended questions. And dropping blame altogether is the entire game. Pretend like this is someone you love and you're surprised at how much you didn't understand. And it will get you through so many weird, aggressive, passive-aggressive, undercover bullying, adulting moments. I hope this helped. Please join me over on Patreon for more. We actually meet and talk about where you are in your spiritual journey, and I'll meet you in the next one.